We've got lots of ginger.
I think maybe leave more top.
Yeah. Is there chocolate? Because it's cheesecake.
There's plenty of area that she's saying.
Did you bake it?
Well, there's actually some levels.
Oh, no. That's quite interesting. Oh,
Srila Prabhupada ki, Jai Sankirtan Yajna ki, Shri Anand Vaishnav Vrinda ki, Jai Gaura Premanandi. Yeah, you can't escape Krishna. It's not possible. I was just thinking of it's like there's this girl and there's this guy that just can't accept no as an answer. He's just like he's got his mind fixed on her, and that's it, you know. And in this world, it's kind of a bit creepy when that happens. But Krishna does it too. And it says that Krishna, he has a unique relationship with every single jiva, with every single spirit soul. And he's also, one of his names is Ananta Mukha. It means unlimited faces. He's got millions and trillions of different faces. And they say that there's one face for every living entity. It's one purport, it's like that. There's one face dedicated for every living entity. And that particular flavor which Krishna embodies in that relationship is a perfect reciprocation with that being.
So there's no like, I love you more kind of.
There's some of that, but it's a transcendental kind of the one loving the other more. It's about giving.
But not like lack of reciprocation.
Exactly, yes, you're right, exactly right. And so that's amazing. And therefore Krishna, he's got his eyes fixed on every single living entity. And he's got a plan to liberate every single living entity. Because we're eternal beings. And being eternal, every single living entity has to go back home, back to God. There's no other way. It's just a matter of time, so to speak, since you have a limited time. It's a matter of time before that jiva gets there. And it's a matter of time before he suffers enough, or he just stumbles in the right way and his face falls in the right mud puddle, looking in the right direction. Something just clicks in his brain, and just for a moment he just considers God. And then he just continues in his ignorant way for many, many lifetimes, until again, just for a single moment, he just considers God again. And then the next time before that happens, it becomes shorter and shorter. And eventually it culminates up until the person actually completely surrendering their lives to the Lord. And just like, this life, I'm going to dedicate to Krishna, to God, and I'm gonna do everything I can. And then the punches actually start coming more and more. Because this is Krishna's mercy, that he slaps us, he wakes us up. And to those who want to sleep, he also slaps them, but he gives enough ignorance for them to remain asleep. But his mercy is the slapping. This is being conducted through his agency of Maya, through the illusory energy. She's slapping, she's doing the thankless task, slapping. And everybody's thinking the slapping is very nice business. In their ignorance, they're like, give more. And they receiving these slaps in the forms of, illicit sex, intoxication, gambling, and meat eating, and then suffering the resulting actions because of that. And they're thinking it's very pleasurable. But eventually they wake up. So it is inevitable that the living entity will go back. And Krishna is so expert, and his devotees embody this also. That the devotees, Krishnera Bhakta Krishna Guna, Shakali Samchari, that the devotees of the Lord, they have the same qualities as the Lord. They may be possessed to a minute quantity, but the same qualities are present there. And one of those qualities are like resourcefulness. And one person comes to mind is Narada Muni. How there's so many stories of how something happens and he just comes in at the right, he just sees the parameters are perfect for injecting Krishna consciousness in the situation. It doesn't matter who it is. And one such instance is of Mrigari the hunter. He's a hunter, and Mrigari, he was a hunter, and he was expert at half killing animals. Because of his consciousness, and how we kind of make others suffer because of our own suffering, psychologically one could probably analyze it like that. He would let half-kill animals, and he was expert in making them live as long as possible without dying while suffering. So he would like follow the animals like that. And that was also his profession. So Narada Muni came and says, no, you know that you're going to suffer a lot of karmic reactions. There's like a host of hellish planets waiting for you where you have to suffer many births for the reaction of the pain you're inflicting on these living entities. You know that you can't just do this and think that there's going to be no response. And he says, yeah, but what can I do? It's my profession. You know, I'm born into this. And he says, and I have to provide for my family. And Narada Muni says, do you think your family will share in your karmic reactions? He says, of course, they love me. He says, okay, go and ask them. So he goes home and he says, you know, I have to suffer like this and this because of this profession for maintaining you. Will you kindly share in the sinful reactions? They go, no way, Jose, you're on your own for that. You know, just maintain us, but we're not going to... And he was disillusioned. He realized, these people don't care. And he went back to Narada Muni and said, what can I do, you know? And so entangled in this, he said, just chant the Lord's names. Just chant Rama, Rama, Rama. And he couldn't utter the name Rama because his consciousness was so soiled that his mind could not utter the names of Rama. So Narada Muni said, it's okay. Say the word Mara. That you should be able to say very good. Mara means death. So he said, chant Mara. So he chanted Mara, 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 Mara. So he was chanting Rama. Every time somebody says Ramaphosa, they're actually chanting the name of God. It was Hyper Rama. You know, the Lord's name is absolute. It doesn't matter the understanding. It says it's like when a physician prescribes a medicine to a patient. If they take that patient, if the medicine is taken by the patient, it's not required that they understand how the medicine acts or what's inside it even. Although today you should read it.
Imagine that applies to the vaccinations.
Yeah. But just like
A real doctor.
Okay, Brian, jumps over.
You crossed the line there.
Everybody what's inside.
Well, but the principle is that it will act. It will act. Let's take something more innocent like paracetamol. Now you take a Panado. Okay? So then it will numb the pain. You know, it will might not solve the problem because it's allopathic medicine, but that's besides the point. The principle is you don't need to understand what is inside for it to do what it does.
I have a dentist friend who says maybe it's changed since then, but apparently like scientists don't know exactly how paracetamol kills pain. They just know that it does.
They just know that it
Like,
does.
they're not sure exactly what the mechanism is, but
It seems like
it works, so
science.
they prescribe it.
By symptoms they can, and so the whole name of the Lord is like that. You don't know how it works, but it does. But when one actually establishes a relationship with the Lord, one can come to realization how it works. One can understand, of course, this is the supreme fire, and one gets purified in that fire. And it's really so amazing. So Narada Muni was so expert that he could see the situation and he could just manipulate it, for lack of a better word, for the benefit of that individual. Because they got supreme benefit. Another instance, and this is a completely degraded, immoral, unethical, like rascal, you know, like a subhuman person that would do something like to animals. He could just have killed them, but he didn't. So another person like that is Dhruva Maharaj. Like, you know, the backstory is where he was denied to sit on his father's lap by his half-brother's mother. So it's his, what do you call it, a stepmother. And so then he was furious and he went to his mother, but his mother was not the preferred queen, so she said, what can I do, you know, if your father says that, he prefers that wife more. And he said, no, but you know, I'm gonna, you know, who can I speak to? She said, only God can help you. She said, where can I find this God? You tell him. He says, I don't know, but usually people go to the forest. I've heard lots of yogis and sages, they go in the forest. I'm going to go to the forest. He's just 5 years old boy. There's tigers and stuff. He's a Kshatriya, so he's got this like, I'm going to go. He's like, no, my mind's made up. So he goes for the forest with the intention of receiving a kingdom greater than his grandfather, who is Lord Brahma. He happens to be the entire universe. So it's quite a tall order. So anyway, he's going there. And this is his thing, completely materialistic. Narada Muni checks this out. Narada Muni also has this omnisentience, because he's connected completely to the super soul who's omnisentience. So Krishna tells him, hey, there. And he goes. And immediately he can understand somewhere in this universe there is an opportunity here for me to enjoy Krishna consciousness. So he goes there and he says, Krupa, what you doing? He says, I'm looking for Narayan. Have you seen Narayan? He says, yeah, I can show you Narayan. He says, okay, then show me Narayan. He's like, wait. You know, why don't you, if you want to sit in your father's lap, then I'll just go back, I'll tell him, and he'll do it because I'm a great sage, he'll listen to what I did. He said, no! I don't want that, I want Narayan. If you do not have Narayan, then leave me. Please leave, go away, don't waste my time. I only want Narayan. Don't waste my time. So Narada Muni was testing him to check, his determination, and he checked, okay, this guy is ready. So he taught him the process of yoga. The Ashtanga Yoga process in that age was being practiced, so that's what he was doing. And he had his mantra, his Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And within 6 months, he perfected his consciousness. It takes yogis thousands of years sometimes. But this boy, with his determination, 6 months was all it required. Narada Muni was perfectly could analyze the situation and act in there. So Krishna's like that too. And then he met Narayan, and when he saw Narayan, he said that he didn't even know how to receive him properly, because he wasn't trained. He was 5 years old, you know. So he was like dumbfounded. He's like, you know, this person who I was told to meditate on in his form, he's standing right in front of me, and he looks exactly like that thing I've been meditating on, that person. And and then within the heart, the Lord gave him the understanding, and he did everything perfectly. He circumambulated and offered him choice prayers, and so within the heart that was revealed. And he said, what do you want? And he said, well, now that I see you, I don't want anything. I've been looking for broken pieces of glass, and I've found a jewel. And I've just been here crying about shards of broken glass. So he was actually very ashamed that he approached the Lord with this. But that's okay. He approached the Lord, that is the point. Is that one approaches the Lord for anything, it doesn't matter what it is. And when one comes to contact with the Lord, you'll get purified. So therefore Krishna says, don't worship the demigods or these things he can award you with all these enjoyments. Rather go to Krishna, because he can give that to you also, because these demigods anyway are acting on Krishna's behalf. They don't have the power to give anything.
It's almost like a weird thing though, right? It's like, if you wanted something a little naughty, you wouldn't really like go to your parents to ask for it. You would kind of go behind their back. Right?
Yeah.
Kind of like,
maybe you feel a bit like that. But even still, you should go to your parents. And maybe they'll give it to you, but you know what, that might be bad for you. But I remember maybe it's a bit of a mundane example, but you know, when I was like my pre-teen years, then we became a bit kind of interested in alcohol and stuff. So one day my parents they got like a very like diluted kind of thing, and then under their supervision, you know, we could take it so that they could actually monitor like the whole thing. And I think that's like a crude example of how it could be when you, and if I stayed under my parents' supervision like that, I'm pretty sure I would not have, in my university days, like really indulged in the alcohol. So in that same way I might have experienced it and fulfilled the desire, and also like become free from it. So I think in the same way when you approach Krishna with these things, sometimes, you know, people, for example, let's say we have 4 regulative principles in devotees, like the hard one is illicit sex, and you only have sex once a month for procreation. And for a lot, it's like, oh, even for me, it's like, wow. And then, I mean, there's a lot of things going on, but the bright thing is actually just you go to Krishna and you tell Krishna, this is my desire. Actually, I want this much, but you're only allowing this much, but I want this much. And you just like open it up, and then Krishna will sort you out, you know? Krishna will sort you out, one way or another. Maybe you'll have more sex than which is religiously allowed, according to a Brahminical standard, but Krishna will purify you, because you went to him for it. I'm pretty sure Krishna purifying you, because you're not trying to hide it. You can't hide it from me anyway, but you know, in your meditation. So I think that's a very good approach. And whatever you do, therefore, even if you are attached to eating meat, you know, there's a process you have to follow, which Krishna has shown. This is how you do it. You know, you don't take a cow, you take some lesser animal, you take a goat or something like that, and or a deer, and on a certain night you perform it under the dark moon and you offer it to Bhadra Kali or Goddess Kali, and in that way there's meditation and you're following Krishna's direction, and then you can get benefit. You can fulfill that desire and eventually you will get over it, because you're meditating on your karmic reaction. I'm killing you now, later you will kill me. This is some mantras which have been chanted while that's happening, and then one day it will just dawn upon you. I think one thing will happen is like, whoa, do I really want to be killed again and again and again? I think that's one thing that will just, the coin will drop.
Is that literally like what you chant when you're offering?
Yes.
Sama.
Sama. Is it Sama? Thank you.
You and me.
Yeah, you and me.
Well, you will be there next.
Wow. And the other thing I think that will happen is you'll just develop empathy for killing this animal, because you see this thing suffer every time. I remember my father said he used to go hunting in Namibia often, and suddenly he stopped. When I was a kid, I always wanted to go with him because my oldest brother went with him once, and then he just stopped before I was of age that he could have taken me. And I asked him one day, like, why did he stop going? And he said that he was there and he had the gun, and the guide was there, and there were these gemsbok, and these long straight ones, and they jump very high. So there was this mother and a little calf, and he shot and he missed, and he was coming closer and they saw him, and they were by this tall fence, and he said they just turned around and just so gracefully just leaped over the fence and walked off. And when my father saw that, it like changed something in his heart when he saw this grace and beauty of this animal that has something that is valuable, you know. And he said like, I can't shoot that. And then he just said, I can't do it. And he stopped right there. Like the guy was under the fence. Come.
Narada Muni must have been
You
there.
can shoot it.
I see an opportunity here.
Yeah. So these things can happen. But back to the point of that, you cannot run away from Krishna. He's got a plan for every single one of us. And we are here because of his plan. And every time he gives an opportunity for us to turn towards him. And if we miss it, then he makes another opportunity. And another opportunity. And another opportunity. And like that, he's always got a plan. And he's for every single mistake you can make, he's got a contingency plan. You can't mess up his plan. Imagine that scheming, huh? Yeah, like what's it, Ocean's 10, like Ocean's 11. Yeah, it's like he's got nothing on Krishna, if this happens, okay, if this goes wrong, then that will go, and he's got it planned out.
What was that? Did anybody else hear that story with that devotee who like prayed to Krishna, please, like, he basically entered really early, like in India. He was just traveling in India, having a good time, met the devotees, got very serious very fast, and then he was lamenting because he was like, I missed out on all the party, Goa, and all of these places. And then he was like, he went to Krishna and he was like, please Krishna, let me forget you so I can enjoy. Like I want to enjoy without feeling like I'm like not being true,
In Maya.
And then literally like one of those Indian ceiling fans fell on his head. He forgot. He was in Chowpatty. He walked straight out of Chowpatty, and then he was like just wandering around India for months, and he was like doing his thing, what he would have done. And then he saw a monkey like drinking at the Ganga. Like he saw a monkey going to the Ganga to drink.
He offered his obeisances.
The monkey offered the obeisances, and then it all came back.
To the Ganga.
And he remembered like, oh my god, I'm a devotee, and then he just went back to the temple.
Yeah, and I think he also checked the monkey. He thought like this monkey was a rascal in his past life. That's why he's now in a monkey.
And then he like.
But he still remembers some of his devotional sentiments, so he comes and then.
Where's that story from? Is it in the book?
I don't know. I've read it a few times before. It's a great story. So Krishna fulfills. Okay. So I'll just finish with this point, saying that even though Krishna's got this plan, all living entities will go home because there's unlimited jivas. There will always be jivas in this material universe. So that's also quite inconceivable, because the jiva also has that quality of Krishna. It's inconceivable. It's also inconceivable how it can be like that. So, but you cannot escape Krishna. And I think the fact that you are here, that means you're all finished. It says, if you want to make it in this world, don't go to the banks of the river Yamuna and see this blue boy playing on his flute, because if you see him and he sees you, then you can't run away. He'll drag you back, kicking and screaming. He's got his eye on you. If he's already entered his radar. So that's actually how wonderful it is. And I don't think we understand, unfortunately. So it is always nice to indulge in Kirtan and just push ourselves closer to Krishna.
You recorded the Kirtan from Nemo?
Yes, yes. And the talk, so you can hear it all.
And?
And you can hear it all, the talk.
The talk.
Okay.
Okay.
Haribol Nemo.
Happy
birthday.
Happy
Happy
birthday.
Oh!
Jai Shri Prabhupada ki
Dr. Nemo.
Yeah.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Kirtan puja.
So there's tea as well.
Oh, I can smell the ginger.